we're live, back yet again for another episode. Thank you so much for joining us. Hello, Sunny Bonani. How's everyone doing? I hope you're all doing well. And thank you so much for joining us once again this evening for another episode of Conver-sessions 2021 Season 2. Hi, Coco. How's it, girl? I'm so pleased that tonight we have another session because, my gosh, if you have not been keeping up, the last two sessions have been absolute fire. The queens are coming full throttle, and tonight we expect absolutely nothing less. We have a special guest with us, but before we get to her, let's get our co-host on because yes, she's around today. So let's give Mandy a ring and get her on here. The road. If you have been with us from the beginning of the week, from Sunday, let us know how you've been finding the episodes and how they have enriched you. And yeah, what your experience has been. Hey, Mandy girl.
Hey, Vano. Hey, everybody.
Welcome back. The good doctor is back, guys.
Yeah. Yeah, guys. But my call wasn't bad, eh?
Oh, yeah, no? The minister gave you the day off today. The night's off.
Yeah. No, we thank the minister. Now I'm just asking for a raise, please, if you're out there. We ask for a raise.
Yeah, those guys asking for raises here. Hey, maybe we should start a campaign, all our followers, people watching, please, hashtag give the doctors a raise. But
yes!
Actually, how is that, man? I know, there was a lot of conversation at the beginning of COVID. What else is happening in the hospitals, Gualamalanga girl?
Well, now it's just same old things. To be honest, the COVID tent is actually slowing down a bit in my hospital.
Okay.
Even yesterday, we had very few patients who were coming in. I don't know if it's the change of weather or if it's because people are getting vaccinated. There's a lot of things that contribute to it. But overall, now it's same old. People are coming in with the chronic illnesses which are uncontrolled or are coming in with the usual traumas and the stabs. But one thing that I saw yesterday was, and I think you also highlighted it as part of your status, was the alarming rates of suicide and them being 2 times higher in males than in females.
Yeah.
And we actually had a patient yesterday, a gentleman came in, attempted suicide, strangulated himself or tried to hang himself. And he isn't the first that I've seen this month. So the tough times on males specifically, if you look at the UN and how they categorize these things, mainly men who've been unemployed for 6 months, young men, tend to be higher risk of suicide. And that's what we're seeing in our country. A lot of males are unemployed and frustrated. And when they commit suicide, they commit. They don't always commit to relationships, but they commit to suicide. Nothing to be proud of there, but that's the unfortunate sad part. Yeah.
It's actually quite devastating, and for a number of reasons. And we understand that, mental wellness requires a concerted effort, and all basically different spheres and factors of your life need to kind of align for that to go well. But we are keeping hopeful, and we're really hoping that things take a turn around. And that's just to say, if anyone is struggling, is under pressure, under any amount of pressure, or you suspect that someone isn't well, prefer to check on your people. And dude, there are so many resources. We will, in the what do you call that thing, the story, I will link our conversation from last year with Asanda, who spoke to us about mental wellness. So if someone would find that to be a useful resource, please check that out. There are details there in the caption as well, outlining some very good people out there that are doing good work, like the SADAG, I think. So yeah. Anyway, okay, let's not be Debbie Downers about this, but it is serious. And if we're going to talk about what it means to be a human being, we also have to talk about the struggles of being a human being, so
yeah,
it'd be like that sometimes. All right, thank you so much everyone for joining in. I see someone already asked us a question. Why are we dressed like pilots? Because we are taking you on a ride. We know y'all haven't been on holiday for a while, so we got you. On that note, Speaking of a ride, tonight is going to be absolutely fantastic. We have a very special guest, someone that is very dear and close to myself and Mandy, one of our good friends, Bibi. And we're going to have her jump on this call and get the show on the road. So let's see if we can get a hold of her. A beefster. I'm so excited for this, actually. Yeah. I mean, I've loved every single one of the interviews, like, since. Oh my god. Oh, look at the color coordination. I'm here for it. That is so wild. Bibi. Hey, girl. Okay, I also feel like I need to get my glasses because I also feel outnumbered on that front. Like, I don't know what's happening there. I didn't get the memo. I know. I could get my shades or something. Dude, people wear shades indoors all the time, you know. No. On that though, while Bibi is still reconnecting, Sawubona nawe Dumi, astronauts, we're here for liftoff. That's what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? Here for liftoff. You know. Who's that? Elon Musk has nothing on us, guys. So
everyone in the commentary about these headphones, but to be on the real, I think it's helped with the quality of the sound and a lot of other things.
We did it for y'all, you know?
Yeah.
I'm back.
You are!
Hey.
Hello, Tato!
So crazy. Okay.
How are you? Yeah, there you go.
I'm good. No. Yourself.
No, girl. Speak your heart's truth. You know, that's what being immortal's about. So, speak your heart's truth. What's going on, sister?
I'm tired.
Oh, yeah. Long day.
Hey, long life.
Long life. Yes, girl. Like the milk, eh?
No. And I feel like the past 2 weeks flew by. By. We were having
September's over.
And then now it's already time.
Yeah.
I'm just
it's so true. It's so true. I know you just coming out of exams, and are you already on prepping for other exams now? What's going on? What's making the time fly?
This is the cycle of life. 6 weeks is my routine.
Sure. Yeah, and that's a hardcore life, girl.
No,
it's a hard knock life, that.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it.
That's not what you said in your video. You don't know, earlier this week, Bibi released a bomb-blasting video on her YouTube channel. Go over and check it out on Nourish. Bibi, Miguel, you said, go for your dreams. Reach for your dreams.
I didn't say go to
now it's not
I
to
did
do
not say go to Metro. I said your dreams. Let your dreams not be torture. Sure.
I was never ready. I was never ready. Wow.
I had a final year
school
friend of mine. Sorry about that, Van. I had a final year friend of mine who actually texted me, and she keeps saying, I don't know how you guys got through final year. I don't know how you guys got through final year. And honestly, the only thing I could say to her was, number one, we couldn't afford flight tickets to go back home. Number two, we didn't even have the excuses to tell our parents that we can't do it anymore, because we actually could. The year ended and we could. So at the end of the day, just keep showing up. Honestly, just keep showing up. Things will work themselves out.
There you have it, peeps. Are you feeling better?
I say nothing.
Oh,
the best thing about speaking retrospectively is that it's past.
Yeah. When you are in it, when you are literally thinking, after this, I must go and study. Oh, guys, no. It's a load, ne?
Anybody got time for this?
Speaking of being in the middle, Pagati, inside, within, one of the things you picked up on in your video that you dropped was that you are still going through the journey. You don't have the leisure of speaking retrospectively. So do you want to fill us in on what you meant by that? And really, what's it like in the middle? Go.
So, hi guys, I am Bibi and I am a female. I am a mortal, I am a daughter, I am an aunt, I am a sister, I'm a scientist. I'm a neurogeneticist by profession, and I'm currently undergoing more training to become something else. I'm also a mini YouTuber. I only have like a couple of subscribers who I love very dearly.
They're not a couple, they're
And
hundreds.
They're not a couple. This girl.
they
We appreciate the humility, but
No, they
you're in the hundreds. That's not a couple.
In the great scale of things, I'm not even considered a YouTuber technically because I'm under 1,000. So it's a very small amount. But I mean, for me, it's beyond my expectations. I didn't think anybody would watch me. But anyway, so here I am on this journey through life, growing, learning, and reinventing myself time and time again, depending on where I am and what needs to be done. And yeah, so I don't know what else else did I say?
Well, you recently went back to med school. That is definitely one way in which you've decided to take up your yoke, take up your cross again. And
Many yokes.
I mean, yeah, no, girl. Like, that is absolutely mind-blowing. You're already a professional, you know, you already have X amount of degrees under your belt. You already like, you know, so I mean, what sets you off? What is like, you know what, let me go down this path, this is what I want to do? What ignites that fire under your feet?
I think Monday's session answered this for me completely. It's the exact same reasonings that Mbumi gave. Purpose and drive come from what I believe I was put on this earth to do. Which is, I guess, yeah, in one word, it's purpose. I am a healer. I have always been a healer. I did choose it, but it also chose me. And regardless of how I've been able to practice that, whether in science, searching for answers to what causes certain diseases, searching for disease biomarkers, or searching for some kind of way to cure something, drug targets, whatever it was, my true purpose has always been healing. But I would love to do it in such a specific manner that it is to my detriment. It is the reason why I'm enduring this yoke. And yeah.
Beebs, do you remember the time when you were like, it's insufficient for me to just be a healer, I have to be a healer in this way, like as a medical practitioner? What was it that gave you that indication?
It was getting kicked out of med school the first time.
Oh,
so
okay.
Straight from the trick, I got into med school. And it was phenomenal. It was amazing. I think we lived in a much simpler time. I mean, you can think about this, 2009, 2010. And yeah, the world was my oyster. The World Cup was happening. Life was great. And then it happened. And coming out of that and realizing that I now have to pivot and I have to do something that I don't want to do. So I knew I was a healer, fine, but losing access to my opportunity woke me up to the fact that I can't see myself. A lot of people say this, I can't see myself doing anything else. No, really, I couldn't. I tried. I tried, went the academia route, tried scientific writing, tried research, love research, still want to do research, but in a different capacity. Yeah, so that's how I came to full alignment with my purpose and this ever going road of seeking it.
Sure. But Bibi, you have been so upfront about it as well. Like, you've never hid any parts of your journey. Like, you have made it. Well, the ones that we see, I'm going to refer to the public ones that you made us see. And to be honest, even with the little that you think you are sharing, it's very big. Because sharing your stories about your failures, about being kicked out of med school, having to go back, doing academic writing or doing the scientific route, all of that you highlight in public spaces. You don't shy away from your truth and your story. And like, I'm just wondering, like, that liver capacity that you have, to just put it out
Yeah,
there.
bro.
That's
Like,
part of
that's
Megan.
megally, dog.
All right, I see y'all dropping. We see you.
But really, honestly, that's admirable. And like, where do you get that strength and that courage? Because a lot of us live in the shadows. I live in the shadows. But you are very brave to put that out there. Where does that come from?
I think it's probably a bit. One, it's this is not a choice. Trust me. If I could, I'd live in the shadows. But by virtue of the people who raised me, I grew up in an environment where honesty was not encouraged, it was lived. So if something was wrong, if people were lacking, it was out there. So I think my mind thinks that living authentically is the only way to live. It's not necessarily because I'm choosing it. I'm programmed in a certain way, which is now a blessing, but it can also be a curse. As you can imagine, when you fail, it's public. When you stumble, it's public. You keep very little of yourself to yourself because you're constantly acknowledging, those parts of you that are not so pretty. And then the second part of it, I genuinely believe, is God's leading. I would love to hold on to my testimony until it is glorious, until it is magnificent. But currently, in this present moment, I feel like God wants to use my testimony, insufficient as I feel it is, to show others that you can find wholeness in your moment of lacking.
Sure. Beebs, I want to backtrack to what you just said now with regards to living authentically and living transparently. I'm just wondering, how do you negotiate that with yourself, right? How do you live authentically, but not to the extent at which it becomes self-harm and it becomes something that is constantly not your focus? Because, sometimes, a lot of the times, if our fears of living authentically come from a place of not wanting to exacerbate our shortcomings. It's not that we're not aware of them, but you don't want to now constantly be made aware of them or constantly experience them, So how do you balance that? How do you say, I am who I am, this is who I am completely and fully, and I take all of me as is. I'm not going to focus on the good so much that I become a narcissist, or the bad that I become super depressed and have self-hate. Like, how have you managed to strike a balance if you have?
I'm gonna be the devil's advocate. I'm not even gonna play the devil's advocate. I'm gonna be the devil's advocate. So I think there is something very broken in humans, in mortals. And there is a very deep need for us to protect ourselves and shield ourselves. And in doing that, with trying to achieve and strike that balance between living authentically and still protecting ourselves, we lose the ability to be vulnerable, which is a superpower. As soon as you are vulnerable, you are honest. I don't have to make up stories in any circle that I'm in, because everybody, regardless of whether it's at work, which is difficult, whether it's at church or in the family, everybody knows the same version of me. And as soon as you protect yourself, you close off your testimony to others. So there's a part of you that somebody who needs to learn about you or needs to learn about themselves through you, they can't access it because it is shrouded in not shame, but in fear.
Yeah.
And so I'm not trying to strike a balance. And also I'm not assuming that everybody who learns something about me wants to use that information to hurt me. Instead, I'm saying, this is who I am. What you do with that, your business, honey. I'm just here to be me. I'm here to grow and I'm here to learn. And as soon as the next person, let's say, for example, my previous boss, as soon as she knew who I was, she was able to point out things in me that she could help grow, help cultivate. And yeah, that those opportunities don't come if you live trying to balance your truth, if you live trying to filter your truth, and if you live trying to shield and protect yourself.
Sure. Has it
That's
cost
so
you?
interesting.
Sorry, man. I'm just so yeah. I mean, what living authentically given you, and what has it taken away from you?
I don't know. It's given me the freedom to be myself. Honestly, it's. I think through the stages of life, there have been many opportunities for certain things about me to be changed.
Yeah.
And because of this, I'll call it programming, I have managed to live in the same exact, I guess, personality, but at a different level of growth. Here's an example. I was exactly like this before I became a Christian. I was out there. I'm a little bit of an extrovert, a little bit of an introvert. I tell the truth most of the time. If I think something about you, I will probably tell you, but in a nice way sometimes. And so as soon as I met God, what that did for me is it taught me that I can tell you the truth, but I need to be mindful of your feelings. I need to be mindful of your truth and your perception. And also that I'm not speaking just for myself, but I represent a much greater body. So yeah, I think that explains, I guess, what it's given to me. I still get to be myself, even if I'm growing in who I am and learning more of myself.
Sure.
And what I've lost nothing. You lose nothing from being yourself. Like, what is there to lose outside of yourself? I mean, you lose yourself, you're basically schizophrenic and you're insane. There's nothing left.
Yeah.
So I've gained everything.
Sure. That's so powerful for me. Like when I say, you know, as a person who lives in the shadows and you're continuously, what you're doing, you're analyzing. So everyone's running a race and you sit on the bench and you analyze if you should start the race or if you shouldn't. And to be honest, I think one of the greatest hesitations, I don't know if everyone shares the sentiment, is that you listen to what the spectators are doing and what they are saying. So what I would say is my perception is sometimes about not coming out as yourself is that you see how the spectators respond to those who are running, full of criticism. They don't have any good praise, always wanting to pinpoint things or where people have fallen short. And then you just think to yourself, I don't owe any of these people an explanation or even an outlet into what's happening in my heart. But I mean, you're absolutely right. That means then you run the risk of constantly having to be two-faced in different spaces. You can never fully be yourself. And once again, what you thought you were trying to prevent yourself from doing, explaining and accommodating others, is exactly what you are doing, because you're never yourself. You're always accommodating others. Yeah.
And I think I have this gift of naivety, because somebody recently was asking me, especially in terms of things like this. Somebody was asking me recently who I was in high school. Was I the popular girl? Was I the academic nerd alone all by myself? Was I have no idea. I literally have zero idea, because irregardless of the crowd and whatever was happening, I'm not sitting on the sidelines observing what everybody else is doing. I'm not looking at, even if I'm in the race, I'm not looking at how fit the other runners are. I'm running. I don't care. I'm one.
You're number 8 at that time, but you're running, girl.
I'm not counting. Most probably, there's a high likelihood I'm the last one. But I'm so focused on my race, my space, and the fact that I'm running, that I couldn't be bothered. And so I guess, and also the disadvantage of being an observer is that you lose the opportunity to take part, because you're so busy modifying your responses to the environment that you are not contributing to the environment.
Sure.
Yeah.
On that, Beebs, I mean, on the issue of, or rather on the point of contributing and you're only able to contribute if you participate, right? What is your criteria? How do you filter out and decide what it is that you say yes to and what it is you don't? How do you decide where and in what ways do you involve yourself? I mean, you, as I said, you went back to med school, so that's one aspect. You have your channel and so on. How do you decide what you say yes to? Do you use yourself as the standard? Is there some other kind of like mechanism you use to decide?
So I just want to make sure I understand the question. Is the question, how do I accept what I participate in as a human being?
Yeah, as Bibi, like how do you decide what to say yes to and what isn't a yes?
I'm gonna assume everybody uses this. I use my moral compass, which is, the word of God for me, as well as just logical morality, stepping on somebody's toes, not in the Bible, but you probably shouldn't do it. And then I also use my interests, what I want to participate in. If somebody offers me golf, bowling, soccer, rugby, no. But if you offer me food, if you offer me a picnic, if you offer me poetry, interests, then of course I'm there. If you offer me a surgery, Mandy, then I'm there. If you offer me opportunities to make money, then I'm there. So yeah, it completely depends on those, I think mostly those two things. And also sometimes it's not my interests or my morality, but it's what the outcome is. So if something is not to my benefit, but the outcome is great for others in some way, then it's fine. I'll run the race. I'll kick a ball.
Nice. I like that. I think that makes sense actually. Is that why you started your channel Nourish?
I think I started Nourish because I was annoyed, because I post something on Facebook. I post like a picture of something I've cooked or something, and then I'd get like 10 people who, even though I posted like the recipe maybe in the comments or in the description, wherever, I'd get 10 people who keep asking, what did you put? What did you do? How did you make that? And so I was like, okay, so the Facebook thing is not working. At the time, I didn't have a Facebook page. This went on for like 6-7 years. And then I was like, okay, let me open a YouTube channel. I take a video. Nobody asks me questions. So that's how it was born.
Okay.
Little did I know. That's how you solved that problem? Thanks, girl.
And no was the problem. She was like, you know what? Instead of getting annoyed every time we ask, just make a video. I was like, oh, you're right.
Let me just do that.
That happened.
Oh, wow. Oh, no, Thieves. I mean, that's actually, I've never heard you say her name out loud. And those of you that have been with, no, not in a while. No. Those of you that were with us in season 1 of Conver-sessions, you will remember the episode we did on why I started Be Immortal. We spoke to a young, wonderful gentleman, Daniel, and he was telling us about how he recently had lost his wife through suicide. And Bibi happens to be Newa's best friend, and I guess by extension, Daniel's best friend as well. So, I mean, how, right? Small circle. So if you don't mind just kind of visiting that a bit, Bees, I mean, that must have been really very difficult for you, and I imagine that it still is. But you seem to have a knack for revisiting places of trauma, to put it in some way or another. What is it about that? What is going back for you? Why do you find yourself doing that, girl? I mean, you also had a YouTube video earlier in the year where you spoke about, and you were retelling how you recently just got out of your marriage. So for me, you visiting that, whether it is orally or, through storytelling or physically going back to med school, I was just wondering, like, what's your relationship with trauma and returning to trauma? What is the idea there?
You make make it seem like me and trauma have some kind of friendship. Like,
I'm like, what? No, I mean, I think it's really useful because I think for a lot of us, like Mandy said earlier on, one of the reasons why we live in the shadows and don't want to participate is because we have PTSD. You know, the first time around you got burnt hard. So you don't want to return to a place where you got burnt, you know? And I think there are ways in which we can learn to live with trauma and hurt and live with, you know, whatever it is that we carry, but in a way that doesn't stop us from being productive and participating.
True. So there are many traumas. Am I exaggerating? There are a couple of traumas in my life that have been remarkable enough to leave an impact. And so I think this year was a culmination of years and years and years of dealing and being strong and and supporting everyone else. And so, funny enough, the 1 year where I get something that I've wanted for 10 years is also the 1 year where I have a mental breakdown. There's really no way to explain. Thank you. Oh, thank you, Mateko. Sorry, the comments are all over the screen, so I just randomly saw it. But there's actually really no way for me to explain how I not experience trauma, but how I relate to it, or how it relates to me, or how I keep finding myself back with trauma. I feel like I don't avoid it, I don't ignore it, and I don't sweep it under the carpet. As soon as I realize that something is off, the moment my brain clicks that I need to somehow resolve something and I'm incapable myself, I seek help. I seek help the only way I know how. I talk to family, I talk to friends, I get psychological help, I get psychotherapy. If it means, for example, apologizing for something that I did 12 years ago, then let that be it. But I cannot live personally knowing that something is incomplete, probably why I'm back at med school also. It gnaws at my soul. So here I am once again, back confronting old traumas. And I think God also, you will struggle to heal, and you will struggle to understand and delve into certain concepts and certain portions of God's word with understanding and with peace if you yourself have not healed.
Sure. Is that the same with... Oh, sorry, Vance.
Okay, can I go? I just wanted to say, with death, it's one of those things where, you don't have the deciding factor to say, I can decide when it ends and when it starts. You don't have the choice to ask when it's going to happen. So especially when you speak now about, revisiting traumas and things being incomplete. Now with death, how does that work with you? Because that's an incomplete story. You didn't prepare yourself for it. And going back to it, do you think that makes you feel as though you are now coming full circle and completing what, haphazardly happened? Or do you think, how does that add on to you going back to the traumas, if you understand what I'm saying?
I don't think I completely understand. You are asking me.
So I'm saying with death, it's one of those things that are just incomplete. So one thing you mentioned was you like to find something as a complete circle. You like to sort of like summarize something. So how have you been able to deal with that, with having a loss and then now having to deal with it? Because it can never come full circle. Do you till this day understand the reasons why certain people have, passed before you, or certain people are no longer in your life?
No. I think everything probably in life has some kind of cycle to it. Everything except death. It is an end. It is a point. It is a straight line. It has a beginning and an end. And unfortunately, as soon as somebody passes in your life, this is my perspective and what I've drawn from my experience. What happens is, especially in the way in which I have lost, particularly now in this conversation, the grief is what you remain with. The death is gone. The death, you're not even dealing necessarily with the death anymore. It is the loss. It is the gravity of the conversations you'll never have, the things they'll never know, the things they'll never see. It is the questions you remain with. It's the wanting to only speak to one particular person and knowing that there's no one on the other side. Even if you could call, there's nobody who's going to pick up. So I confront death on a daily basis because I think about her on a daily basis.
Yeah, that is genuinely, that's the truth of it. I don't think anyone has ever articulated it so well. You confront death every day because you are reminded every single day that you have lost. There's absolutely no way of escaping it. There's none whatsoever. What happens on days where you're able to, what are the things that help you to step out of that, even if it's momentarily? What makes you, what gives you life again, breathes life back into you when
the kids, hands down. I think when you lose someone, what can comfort you is others who have lost the same person. So I don't know if you guys will relate to this, but as soon as Now passed, I think I grew in closeness with especially the little baby. She did have a little baby, because I understand that baby's loss. And so I think more than I would have before, or in a different way, I grew towards her and she grew towards me. And so that, to be honest, those moments when it gets overwhelming, it's almost like waves. One time they're shallow and they're soft, but they're there. So that's grief. And then another time it's just overwhelming and it's overcoming and it's rapid and you find yourself drowning. The moments of drowning are the hardest, and those ones you just stop, realize what's happening, allow yourself to go through the moment, miss the things you miss about them, and let it pass. You fight the waves, you drown. Okay, you drown in grief, you drown in depression. The shallow moments, those are the good ones. Those are the ones where we can talk about memories and not cry. Those are the ones we can look at life experiences and quote her and be glad for the meeting and even just the privilege of knowing such a soul. So yeah, I think that's what I do in those moments of grief.
Sure.
I'm so grateful that you actually said it like that, because to me, this is a mere mortal. You're saying it as we live it. There's like, to be honest, like me and dealing with grief and even, our type of work, you see death all the time. And I've been walking around telling all my friends, you're gonna die anyways, man. Magulanga lako, it's late. Whether you get vaccinated, you don't get vaccinated, whichever way you pick, death is death. And I think I take that approach predominantly because for me, I fight a lot of the waves and I drown in grief. So when you say, allow yourself to also have those shallow moments, to also appreciate, there's a beauty in this dance that you have no control over it. But because it has happened to you, it is okay to also live with it. It is okay. And living with it doesn't mean that you accept it and you see it as a pretty thing. It can never be a pretty thing. It's theft. They have taken from you
at the end of the day.
That's what it is. But you have good moments and it's okay to have those, and those bad moments as well. Just learn to live. Don't fight them. They are a part of a mere mortal's way of life. It is a part of us.
But it's funny you should say that, Mans, because I feel like we relate to deaths in very different ways, and me and Van have had this conversation before. So now I'm inviting you to join us.
Thank you.
Losing someone traumatically, and I'll let you guys explain any kind of traumatic deaths that you've experienced. Okay.
Wink.
We see you.
Yeah.
But losing somebody in the professional capacity, it's hard as a human, but it's also hard as not a perfectionist, but as somebody who's trained to get it right.
Yeah.
So there is a it's I don't know how to explain it. I feel like it's a different kind of loss, and I don't know how you confront this as frequently as you do. I've only experienced it once, and I don't want to go back because you feel like you failed. Unlike with my friend who died by suicide, I don't feel like I failed her. I don't feel like it was an insufficiency in my knowledge and in my training that led to her end.
You're absolutely right. It is different, even on a professional capacity. When death happens, you reflect upon it and literally you think, what are the steps I could have done to help prevent? But you also don't have a relationship with the person when you meet them. So when they do die, it's not going to be the same as your mother or your sister or your friend dying. But you also do realize, and when you said, I've only confronted death once, and I'm assuming in the professional capacity, and you don't want to go back. I looked at you and like, girl, you're gonna see that a lot.
I'm a researcher. I got time for this.
Babes, no, resources are real. And what I'm saying is that for me, on the professional front, when someone does die, you also do realize that you can try as much as you can, give as much oxygen as you want, intubate as many times as you want, do the cycles of chest compressions as many times as you want. But once it is time, it is time. I have seen it a number of times. There are blunders that we do, and you learn from those, and you can't always beat yourself up because your intention was never to try and kill somebody. But what I'm trying to get to is that when death has arrived, it has arrived, and whatever you do, there is nothing that can change that, and that is the reality. Don't place that on yourself. You don't walk around inviting death. It's not your friend, but it will come when it chooses to come. Now, going on a personal capacity, I'm not gonna lie to you, Beebs, I avoid those things straight up. Like nah, it's not for me.
There's a person who says it comes. When it comes, it comes.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's
It's true. It's like I have some sort of like a disconnect, like a serious disconnect. And for me, it's because, like what I said, the riding of the waves and trying to fight them all the time, it is something I constantly have to deal with. Your wink and your nudge. Van and I know a traumatic death very close to home. Our dad died in a very traumatic way, and I can talk about it some days very casually, but some days I just cannot. I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to talk about it. So it comes and it goes, and it doesn't make sense to me, because when I'm at work, I get it. But when I'm alone, I don't get it.
Yeah.
So enigma, Angaz.
And you, Van?
Yeah, same. Fortunately for me, I don't have to confront it every day in the professional capacity that you guys have to. But I mean, it's constantly a lingering theme. You can't avoid it. I mean, we're also living in COVID times where every day you see someone broken heart status, or and you just like, and then you switch over, you look at the news, and you just like, but it's just 5% of the population, and it's like, okay, the numbers aren't bad, it's like, it's okay, but we all know that the numbers aren't bad, but for each person, that person is irreplaceable. They're not a number, they are a real person that they, so it's this constant back and forth, and it just kind of resonates with what Bibi, you were saying. I think what death is and what grief is, the reason why it constantly feels like an incomplete cycle, and is really linear, is because you're not only confronting every day, but it also keeps stealing from you every day. If it's not stealing your joy, it's stealing your prospects for the future. You're always anxious and nervous. What if I lose someone? It's constantly stealing from you. When it's at its peak, the grief is at its peak. It's like it's stealing you from the land of the living, because pieces of you genuinely feel like you're constantly dying. Like, why is this happening? And when it's at its low, you're reminded that someone else has died and you have lost. So it's just a thief of time. It's a thief of joy. You're constantly just battling that thievery, and you're always trying to reclaim. And sometimes you also, I've found in my experience with grief as well, is constantly having to negotiate where am I? Am I with the living or am I with the dying? Because on the one hand, sometimes it does feel like a betrayal. It's like, I want to be able to feel like I'm coming up for air. And in order for me to do that, I need to suppress certain memories so that I don't have to deal with this grief. And then you ask yourself, but am I permitting myself to forget? Because really all we leave behind is the memories that others have of us. Right?
Yeah.
So now you're negotiating with yourself on those grounds as well. Is this person really perishing from existence if I forget them? Right? So, it's this constant bargaining with grief, and you're always on the losing end. So I totally resonate with what you're saying, that it never comes to completion. There's always loose ends, and they never come full circle. So it's a tough one. And Dion wants to know, how do you find the courage to confront death every day without blocking it? Toughie.
As soon as, I think this goes back to what you guys were actually saying about confronting traumas. As soon as you suppress and you choose to not deal or forget, it means that you are delaying healing. So you're forming a scar, or some kind of keloid, or some kind of wound that's festering, that's growing. And there is gonna come a day where you are going to be triggered, where you are going to be bothered, or where you are going to break, because you've allowed something to eat you from the inside, instead of healing and allowing and completely enduring as a human, as we should, as we are created to experience things. And so I think, because of going back to how I was brought up, because of my upbringing, I'm programmed to confront, I'm programmed to face, I'm programmed to complete. So when death does come, I have an understanding that it's never going to end. But at the same time, I'm not going to keep crying over the same thing. So I endure, I allow, I deal, I experience. Going forward, this conversation I couldn't have had last year, for example. I was so fragile emotionally at this time of year last year concerning death. I could have never had this conversation. So between then and now, I have done a lot of healing. I have done a lot of crying. I have done a lot of talking. I have done a lot of kissing and hugging my babies. I have done a lot to get to the point where it no longer hurts me to know that she's gone. In the same way, I still feel the loss. I still miss her very dearly, and I still talk about her. But the pain is no longer fresh. It has healed. It has gained some substance that I can now build more healing on top of, and it stays stable. If that makes sense.
No, absolutely. And Beeves, some people say that you don't know how good you have it until you've lost it. And you touched a little bit on that earlier on, that, when you got kicked out of med school, that's when you realized that, hey, actually, do you find that in order for you, does that become something that you build on in terms of anything you decide to do, other than you wanting to always tie loose ends? When you have an opportunity to start something else, what goes through your mind? Is it the idea of, okay, I've gone through a lot, so I deserve to give myself an opportunity to flourish, or is it an idea of like, I just take life as it comes, and I I am worthy of building something solid, something concrete, something sustainable, whatever it is, whether it's in your career, your relationships, finances, whatever.
I'm definitely worthy, girl.
Yes,
I'm
girl.
here for it.
I'm not here trying to feel sorry for myself. Life happens to every single one of us.
Yes.
Yeah.
As it should. We are alive. And therefore we will experience things. And so I can't say because of my, for example, with med school, I can't say that because I failed at something, I can never achieve something again. I know I'm smart. I know I'm good at 99% of everything that I do. Like by good, I mean I'm phenomenal. Problem is the one thing that I want, I'm not good.
Yeah, dude.
The one thing I'm not. But I'm gonna keep chasing it because I want it. So it's opening yourself up to the mere fact that opportunities are gonna come regardless of your experiences, and I want to make the most of each and every single one of them, and I want to grow, and I want to enjoy life, because like Mandy said, unfortunately we see death a lot. So I think about it a lot. I think, okay, so if I don't exercise today and I die tomorrow, what do I lose? I lose 400 calories. Well, I gain 400 calories technically, but it's like that. Or if I don't make more friends because my best friend died, you know, what do I lose? I lose the interaction with that person. I lose what they could have contributed to me. I lose a laugh. Okay, I lose that fulfilling feeling of being a shoulder to cry on. Every opportunity for me must be seized, regardless of the past experiences. Because funny enough, the past experiences, painful as they were, they taught me to value the future experiences.
Nice. Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah.
No, I think you touched very well on, I don't know if you mentally made promises to yourself, but what you're talking about now seems like literally you have kept the promises you've made to yourself to literally be a part of the living, and you're participating brilliantly, Bibi.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing that.
Guys.
Do you have other promises you've made to yourself that you intend to keep, that you can let us in on?
I need to eat healthy. I need to lose weight. That one is non-negotiable. Like I have to do something. Not to be skinny, but to be healthy rather. Let me put it that way. I want to be healthy, yeah. I think my focus right now is medical school, because it's a lot. I have debt. I have expectations, people's expectations. I have my own expectations. So my primary focus at the moment is just getting through this grueling experience. And if, funny thing, nobody tells you how painful chasing your dream is.
Yeah, true story.
Chasing your dream is painful, guys.
True story.
I thought I had escaped it, and I should have. But here I am once again, and even though it gives you the greatest fulfillment, it's also just, it's an uncomfortable environment, and the things that you have to do to remain in this uncomfortable environment are difficult. So, I mean, you really wonder why people, honestly, Mandy, I don't understand it, how you guys actually, I have a lot of thoughts.
We'll talk, Bibi, we'll talk.
Many thoughts. But yeah, I don't know. I think that's the only real promise I have to myself right now in this moment. And I guess a promise in terms of how I want to use my qualification once I have it. But other than that, I'm focusing on this.
Yeah. Well, you're doing all of this before all of us, Beeps. You're going to shed your kgs and we're all going to see it. You're going to get our comments. You're going to get our likes. You're going to get our thumbs down and what. Like, how do you deal with that? And I know you're quite modest about it. You don't have a huge following, whatever. But it doesn't matter. People... You're not an island, you live with people and so on. So in some ways you go through your life stages, your transitions, your traumas and so on, your revisitations to your traumas. You go through it with other people watching you, So how do you do you do that? How do you transform yourself and give yourself permission to transform yourself, knowing very well that other people are watching?
You guys have known me for a long time. Have I ever been anyone else?
Nah, actually, nah.
This is it.
So at what point would I have given me permission to be this? Honestly, to be honest, the only thing that I did was open a YouTube channel. As to what goes on in that space, it's completely just me being me. So I've never had to negotiate. I guess maybe that's the word. I've never had to negotiate how much of me I'm allowing to be publicly seen or to be publicly experienced. It's me. It's the same me, and it's just a different crowd. So I would still be getting the same comments from friends, family, church mates, workmates. Now I've just allowed more people into that frame of feedback.
Yeah.
Strangers at that also though, Beeps.
That's the most
with no context thing. Like they have zero context. So I mean, are you sometimes bewildered at the comments you get, and do you sometimes then feel, actually no, let me put up some serious boundaries? Okay,
I don't struggle with putting up boundaries, to be frank. I might be jolly and lovely, but I don't know. I don't struggle to put up boundaries. So if someone does overstep, we are gonna handle it right there and then, and you're gonna get it right, or you're gonna leave. Like nobody's forced to be on that channel to be. So I don't understand people who then come with negativity. Also, I don't delete comments; they delete them themselves. So once I point out that. Once I point out that somebody has overstepped in a certain way, I have noticed that they then delete, but they don't unsubscribe. So I don't know. All I know is that I have taken the decision to open myself up publicly to scrutiny. Yeah. And I'm completely comfortable with scrutiny because I love who I am. And so whatever feedback I'm receiving is probably to add, if anything, and if it's not going to add, then good shot, and we move.
Sure.
Beautiful.
That is the true gain of authenticity, because nothing is off the table, because nothing is negotiable. You got being Bibi, so fam, do you, boo? You know? That's incredible.
For me, it's just the line, I love who I am. Very few people can say that, and very few people can commit to that. And it's not a matter of loving yourself physically or etc. The way it sounds, Bibi, and the way I've known you, you love your soul, and that's contagious. And I guess that's why we love you, and people gravitate towards you. So it's a beautiful thing to have. Yeah.
Incredible, truly, And I think we've discovered your secret of building from the ground up. Just do you, boo. All right.
Oh, okay.
And is there another hidden one that we don't know about? All right. So last question from me before we go into the girl beads is, you are very big on telling your story and telling it in your own words and having control over the narrative about you, right? What for you what is the power that lies in telling your story? What is that about for you? Why do you gravitate towards that kind of self-sharing?
This is taking me back to the day I released the med school video. Completely God's will, not something I wanted to do. Again, I thought I'm gonna, do this, finish med school, then release a video, and then everybody will know of my victory. The usual discipline stuff. And God has been pushing me this year to just tell my story. Just tell someone, share it. And it's something I don't know if you can tell, but it's something I am insecure about. I might not be insecure in the typical way where people shield things because they're insecure. No, I'm insecure about it. And so I literally say, I'm insecure about this. That's my I don't know what to call it, coping mechanism maybe. And so telling my story and telling it authentically, for me, it does exactly what you said when you introduced the question. It allows me to control what is said about me. One, control, very important for somebody with an A-type personality. And then the second thing it does is it allows me to continue being authentic. I don't have to make up or hide or shield or protect. I can genuinely it then freely and it's not in any way modified or retold by any other person but me in how I wanted to tell it. And so as I'm growing, I can always come back to who I was and how my story is changing because I've told it. Unlike, I mean, sometimes I say I wish I'd started YouTube when I was 18 because I really would have loved to hear her story and how mine has evolved from the initial retelling. So storytelling, or not in storytelling, but sharing your life and sharing it authentically is important for yourself to grow, for yourself to reflect, and also for you to be held accountable. Sometimes we struggle with accountability to ourselves, but to others it seems to be no problem.
Sure. Peeps, I am through. You are now on the grill. Yes, girl.
All right, it's time for the grill. For Bibi, it will be a vegan barbecue. But unfortunately, because I am post-corona, I couldn't get all the ingredients for our grill. So we'll just have to work with my leftovers. But when I say I couldn't get all the ingredients, it's pretty much because when I did the search, Bibi had deleted her Instagram. So I couldn't stalk her. She's back on now. But
after this, I'm deleting it again.
You see? Babes, how are the people's gonna find you though?
YouTube.
Okay, that's fair. And the Facebook content is just not the same, man. I think Instagram gives a nice, concise picture of everything. But we're gonna deal with some pap and chakalaka. So there's gonna be some heavy punches of spice. Are you ready?
Okay. I think, let's see. Feed me.
I have 5 questions for you, right? Answer as best as you can, as honestly as you can. The first one, would you ever do Master Chef for vegans? Is there a cookbook in the works? What's happening with that situation?
No cookbooks in the works, no cooking show in the works. I think I think food content is more difficult to make. And I'm at the point now where I'm just too tired to bother, to be honest. I'm sorry, guys. I'm really sorry if anybody from YouTube is here. I'm sorry. But I'm really tired of food content. It's strenuous. And the cleanup. No. So no, nothing food related is on the decks.
Fair enough. Second question. This is a bit of a game.
I would do MasterChef, though.
MasterChef.
Oh.
Yeah, no, I would definitely go into a competition.
Okay. Hopefully you'll do it soon. Our second question is a bit of a game. I'm gonna name 6 clicks, and then I want you to associate a speciality with it. Medicine speciality. Okay. So if I say jocks, what do you associate with that?
JOCK.
Jocks, rugby players. I'm a jocks and J. Any of the sports players, what do you associate with that?
Orthopeds.
Me too. Next, popular girls. What do you associate with that? Popular girls, popular guys.
Who think they're popular or who are actually popular? This is important.
I want to hear both.
I think people who think they're cool are neuro. And internal.
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought exactly the same thing. Third one, nerds, general nerds.
Cardio and nephro.
All right.
What's nephro?
Kidneys.
Kidneys.
Oh, okay.
Not very cool, but I mean, best intentions. and very, very critical of their work.
And Zara. Okay, fourth one, bullies. Bullies.
All of them.
There you heard
Surgery,
it, guys.
surgery,
The medical fraternity
surgery.
is full of bullies.
You know,
Surgery.
I actually wanted to say, let's say it together, because I knew we were going to say that.
But to be fair,
All of them.
but some
And then
bullies are more bullies than others.
Yes, there's a hierarchy in the police system. They are at the top. Yeah.
Yes.
Then we have our fifth one, people who would be classified in the debating society. So the public speakers, the debaters, the intellects.
And no, this one I don't know. I would say all of them again, because everybody's convinced that their speciality is the one with the smart kids. So I don't know.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
What would
and
you
then
say?
I'll come back. Can I finish the last one?
Okay.
Can I? Okay. The last one, arts and culture club.
I don't like this question. No, I refrain. Me, I'm still in training. Okay?
Oh,
Somebody
hey,
watch this
they don't
video.
know. Come say, tell me.
No.
Bibi, come on.
But consultants are gonna watch this and say, "Oh, this one." It's okay.
I see Musa has another opinion. He says the bullies are the obs and gynaes. So the obstetricians are the biggest bullies.
Mara Musa. Nkosi yami. Those good Samaritans.
No, I think for me, if I had to go with the debating club, for me it would be the pediatricians.
Yes.
So and because the pediatricians, honestly, you know, they are the nicest to the children, the worst to the adults, and literally they believe they know everything, and they just a lot. So the pediatricians will be the debating ones. They're the smart ones who just know it all.
Mandy, you have not yet reached MO status. Be careful. You still have another year.
Bibi, we are within. We are part of them. When you said all of us, you mean yourself as well. We are within.
I like this girl power thing going on here.
Can I go to the third question? So our third question is, so recently we celebrated
arts and
World...
crafts.
No, arts and crafts. You said, what did you say? Oh, you closed your thing.
I refrained.
No, I don't know. But please tell me what you think. Come on, Bibi.
Okay, so
Plastics.
in my opinion, arts and crafts are the people who are not serious. They're playing games. So I was gonna say not plastic surgery, but aesthetics.
Aesthetic medicine. They playing games. Okay. We'll leave that one there. Let's not add more fuel to the fire.
I did not say that.
And disclaimer, on this show, we are not discouraging people from choosing a specialty if they go to med school.
Our third question is, so now we're dialing it down a bit. That was fun. So on the 10th of September, we celebrated World Suicide Prevention Day. And I just wanted to find out from you, what do you wish people knew about suicide?
I haven't heard this often, but mental health is it's especially in the Black community. Then we need to, I think, talk about it more and share. When people have mental health issues, I feel like the power, as we've went on for the past hour about how your story gives credibility to your experience, and it also lets others know that this is real, it's happening, and they're not alone. Mental health it's shamed, and it's found to be so embarrassing that a lot of people don't speak about it, talk about it, or even share that they are experiencing it. But unlike cancer, when somebody has cancer, nobody shames you. Nobody looks at you like you're at fault. Nobody looks at you or claims that. Somebody recently was asking for a sick note, and there was this whole debate over whether or not they deserved a sick note for a, what was it called? It's called this is a student, by the way. It's called it's not a bad day. I don't know. They gave it a name. It's basically a day when you're going through a really rough period mentally. There's nothing physically wrong with you that is observable, but you mentally are not okay. And so I feel like those conversations need to be had, like sick days for mental health issues. And
Yeah.
you can't go to a psychologist first and then get a sick note and then be at home to heal. No, mental health works differently. So I feel like the system needs to evolve and accommodate mental health. The work systems and institutions and places of work, yes. And then as people and as Black people, we also need to understand it as a sickness in the same way we understand viruses. Well, no, we don't. But in the same way we understand sick people, physically sick people, and diseases existing and being real. We need to apply that same logic. Somebody who commits suicide is unwell. It goes against every single reflex in your body to do it. And mentally, you have to defy every single wall that God has put up in your mind of how valuable we are to get to that point. So this person is extremely sick. Think of stage 4 cancer. They are fragile, they are frail, they are sick. They just don't look like it. And so it deserves respect.
Definitely. Thank you, Bibi.
Absolutely.
And then our last 2 questions are a bit on the romantic side. Do you still believe in true love?
I do. I've never not believed in true love. I've just never experienced it. So, yes, that has never changed.
All right. And now our last one. If moi wanted to get married, what advice would you give me?
This is constantly going to change, but I think it's always going to be dependent on who is giving you advice. So everybody advises you from where they come from. So I'm going to advise you from my own experience. Don't do it.
Oh, ow.
I'm joking. I'm joking. Marriage is what you make it. And I've said this 1,000 million times. Marriage is what you and the person you are marrying make it. If you guys want to live simply, live humbly, and go and live in the country somewhere and farm for the rest of your life, that's the marriage you want, and that's the marriage you're gonna have. If you guys want to live, lavishly, travel to Dubai, eat expensive food and shopping spree and do Milan and Paris, that's the kind of marriage you're gonna have. And if you guys want to have a marriage where the husband stays at home and you bring home the money, that's the kind of marriage you are going to have. It depends completely on you. Don't try and replicate your parents' marriage. Don't try and force your ideals of marriage on somebody else while ignoring and refuting theirs as valid. Because all of us want different things. What makes marriages work is finding somebody who wants things that you want too. Or finding someone who's willing to compromise so that you can both get what you want from this institution. So it's what you make it. Don't make it hard for yourself and for the other person.
Thank you, Bibi. That was very sound.
Yeah. I mean, that is really quite consistent with what you have been saying to us throughout. If you are yourself from the beginning, you will be yourself through every circumstance. And so you won't be compromising. You won't think of yourself as mutable in that way, even when you are negotiating partners and lives and futures. You're going to be like, I am this person. This is what I want. I'm not apologetic about it. This is what how far I'm able to compromise. This is what are my non-negotiables. And that's that. And do you think that, where do you think the difficulty is? And this is just, sorry, I know that I'm supposed to let you go now, but I was just wondering as you were speaking, in terms of do you think the real issue is that people don't actually know who they are, and so they can't be authentic? Or especially when it comes to negotiating relationships, right? Or do you think that there is such an immense pressure to be paired with someone else that people really believe that they actually are gonna compromise more than in real life they actually will?
I honestly, I think, guys, you know what makes marriage complex, nah? Humans. Every single marriage has one common factor. It's between these days things have changed, but marriages used to be between 2 people. And because it's between 2 very complex beings, different needs, different backgrounds, different requirements, different goals, the problems will always be many. and will be different. The problem that I've identified is that people sometimes stay in marriages and then end up married to their greatest regret.
Sure.
And and that could be for a number of reasons. It could be because the person is uncompromising, or it could be because you just were not lovingly in that relationship. It was a relationship of either convenience or just, something, an arranged marriage, many things. But then marriages tend to fail because nobody wants to admit that a mistake was made.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, in other words, no one wants to return to a place of trauma.
Or nobody wants to create.
No one wants to create. Exactly. Yeah. Before Mandy has her last say, guys, please do feel free to ask questions or comments in the little question box for Bibi before she goes. I know she has to dash. Med school is calling her. The girl must study. But we do have a little bit more time for her to get to our questions. Mans, you were going to say something.
So it's not a last question, but it's our now custom to do this word of the day, blast from the past. Who said this? So Guess who said this quote? Dreams don't always come true, but prayers do.
I don't know.
It even rhymes.
That wasn't in the Bible.
Are you an author in the Bible, Bibi?
I've read it. Never written it.
Well, it seems to have appeared on your social media, and it seems like you have said it. So I don't know if you took it from the Bible or if you just created
What is it?
Dreams don't always come true, but prayers do.
No memory whatsoever. But that's a good one.
Well, then it's you. You can claim it. I took it as it was you. You didn't cite who did it. You said it.
It was me.
All right.
Well said and well received. Yeah. Ubongane is saying Beep's comment on being suicidal and relating to that, and relating that to other mental illnesses was really meaningful. Yeah, absolutely. And Bongani, thank you so much for that comment. Earlier on, we were just talking about the UN's statistics on suicide in South Africa ranks number 3 with the highest successful suicides right now, 2019 stats, and men having the highest success rate in suicide. Quite devastating statistics, actually.
Men hopefully have the highest suicide rates. I think it's not spoken about as often because they don't speak about it as often. Because, we're having a conversation right now about a female committing suicide as females. It's not as common to come across males just talking about, a loss in that space.
And it goes back to what you were saying, that we don't talk about mental illness. And even when someone dies, they don't really go back and say, look, he died because of suicidal reasons, or it was a successful suicide attempt. And you find males, like what we were saying in the beginning with Van, they are successful at their suicides. They commit and they succeed. So when they die, no one rehashes and says there was something going on. It was a successful suicide attempt. They just say, hey, ushoni lose ban. Whereas with women, it's always para-suicides. You always live to tell the tale. And you're like, the Lord took me out of that. So it always seems as though we are the ones with dense mental issues and, always going through the cycle. Yeah, so
Absolutely.
much advocating and discussion needs to happen in male circles about suicide.
Absolutely.
And funny enough, Mandy, I guess maybe you can actually speak about this with more clarity. There's an initiative in the medical fraternity called Socks for Dogs, right? Where this one guy in Australia, I believe, he was so mentally out of it. He was, I don't want to say depressed, because I think it was a combination of so many different things, because he was functional, absolutely functional, but mentally out of it. And so he went to work one time with mismatched pairs of socks, and he was not even away. He didn't see himself put them on. So he gets to work, and then people point out that, dude, your socks, they're not the same. And then he was like, oh, and then it basically later on was revealed that he was mentally unwell. In the medical space, majority of our seniors, whether it's scientific or clinical, all of it, majority of the seniors are male, even though majority of people who are actually in the course are female.
Yeah.
Another story for another day. But very rarely do you see them take time off. Very rarely do you see them complain. They might do things like bully us and treat people in ways that, you know, you wouldn't be happy with, but their mental health is never a topic for discussion because they are strong, because they are leaders. And here we are with the highest suicide rates being in males, and even in the medical fraternity, I can almost guarantee it's the male doctors who are dying.
And I think it keeps them going, that functionality of coming to a place of power and perpetuating that feeling that I can still keep going and there's someone beneath you. I think that too fuels them to keep coming to work. You know, when as a female practitioner, or as any female, when you go to work, you are battling a couple of things to start off with. You haven't even started working, but you're battling a couple of things. You might have your own self-esteem issues. You might have, there's a lot going on. Whereas for the male, when they come to work, their issues aren't that much. You'll see the nursing staff, who are predominantly females, gravitate towards the males, and they come to a place where they are strong there. So I actually think coming to work and continuing to function is actually a safeguard and something that makes them feel good. Because like when I go home and I'm on my own, I'm weak there. My depression makes me weak. But when I come to work and I tell that medical student, you are stupid and you should have studied, I'm power, and that keeps them going. Unfortunately, it's a vicious cycle. But we should have a medical talk show some other time and talk about
this. I was going to say that. I actually was going to say you guys need a segment to hash out these issues, because, hey, it's glorious to think, oh, I want to be a doctor. And, but there's so much that we on the outside aren't aware of. And you're right. I mean, I go to the doctor and I'm like, expert, power figure, authority figure. If my doctor tells me my throat doesn't hurt, even though I feel my throat hurts, I'm going to be like, the doctor's the one that went to medical school. They know what they're talking about. But, your everyday la-di-da person isn't around doctors that talk about the journey, the full journey, So I'm going to say it. Y'all need to do a little something for us. I'm just saying. Okay.
I think we're probably going to end this now, but before we go, so yes, I released the video on YouTube about my medical journey, and this is how real training of doctors is. I got an email from somebody who is in America. He is an elderly gentleman, because their medical school, hey guys, it's long. Just know that he's in America and he was training to be a doctor, and he did 5 years, and medical school that side is 4 years long. So he got to what is our 5th year in South Africa, which is, the year before you finish. And that side, it's 3rd year. And so he got kicked out in his 3rd year after repeating the 3rd year, I think, for the 2nd time. But he had failed another year, another time. And he is currently a construction worker as we speak. So he watches my video and then he writes me this really lengthy email bearing his heart to me, and how he is depressed and he is unwell and he has student debt. Nobody talks about how much you spend trying to get trained to be a doctor. I think we calculated, without accommodation, without food, 800,000, including all of the materials you're going to buy, all of the books you're going to buy. Yeah. That's almost R1 million in 6 years that you're going to fork in order to be trained. And then you get kicked out when you're about to finish, and you have no source of income, no qualification. You can't even be a nurse.
Yeah.
So you leave with shame, academic shame, from your personality type and from your experience and your aspirations, you have shamed yourself, your family, you are embarrassed, you are broke, you are unemployed, and now you have R1 million worth of debt. And this is the story from a man in that space who had no choice but to build houses for a living. He says he earns $12 an hour. And I mean, it's hard.
Sure. Yeah.
It's really difficult. And if you withhold your testimony, going back to the testimony thing, he would have never known that somebody else was in that exact same situation, but made it out. If I had chosen to hide and to try and strike a balance between telling my story authentically and not telling it enough to protect myself.
Sure. So we thank you for telling your story, peeps. We really do appreciate you for allowing us to witness you being a mere mortal. Yes. And on that note, Bibi, thank you so much. You have been incredibly generous with your time. We did even keep you longer than we were supposed to, but you were so gracious about it. And we are so, so, so thankful for that.
Thank you, Bibi.
All right. Have a good night, babe.
Okay, now how do we hang up?
You hang up.
How?
Press the
You have
X.
to
Press
end the video.
Really?
Yeah, really.
Just press the X.
Okay.
There we go. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Bibi was an absolute dream guest, as the rest of our guests have been, and they will be moving forward. Tomorrow night, we're back again at 6 o'clock, and we are talking to Usis Nomfundo about... See, Bibi has given us what it's like to start over, and Usis Nomfundo is picking up right there and telling us what it's like to be right in the thick of things, in the middle. Inside, you know. So thank you so much for joining us once again, Mans. We are seeing you again tomorrow and the rest of the week, aren't we? We are. Yes. Perfect. So y'all know that the grill is going to be handled. If you have any other questions for our guests and for our guests to come, you are more than welcome to pop us an inbox. Otherwise, we will see you again tomorrow. And as we always say, keep building from the ground up. Listen, if we've learned anything over the last 3 days, Bumi started us off by saying, y'all, say yes to your purpose, okay? And then Ida came and slammed us yesterday and showed us what happens when you say yes to your purpose. Like, things just, you know what I'm saying?
Align.
And then, dude. And Bibi now is telling us, Uguti, there ain't no shame in saying yes to your purpose and returning to it when it is snap for you. So we'll pick up tomorrow again with this conversation. Have a wonderful evening, everybody.
And be authentically yourself. Love yourself.
Mic drop.
Bye, guys.
Bye.